Okay, this is Invented Strategies of Multiplying Fractions, and I'm also going to use some manipulatives to show what I'm doing. Okay, so first off, we're going to do 1/3 times 1/2. So this is one of the invented strategies that I'm going to show, and I'm going to use these little shapes to show what I'm doing. So this shape is going to be the whole. It's a little octagon. I mean hexagon, not an octagon. It's a hexagon. This is the 1/3. Let me get a different color. Because it is 1/3 of the whole hexagon. Okay. This is a half. And these represent sixths, because 6 of them fit in this little hexagon. Okay, so knowing that, I'm going to show 1/3 times 1/2. So in order to do this, it's important to remember how you can rephrase this in multiplication. So this is also what is 1/2 of 1/3, or what is 1/3 of 1/2. It can go both ways. So I'm going to do 1/2 of 1/3 first. So I'm going to find my 1/3. Here it is. Because you remember we said this is the whole. This is the 1/3 of the whole. Okay, so here's our third in blue. So now I'm going to find out what a half of this is. So I think this little triangle is going to be a half, and it is. So this triangle is a half of the third. Let me zoom y'all in a little bit. Okay, so this little triangle is 1/2 of the third. But I know this is my answer now, but I don't know what my bottom number is. What's going to be my denominator? What is my whole if this is my part? So I'm going to keep filling in with triangles and try to determine what my denominator is going to be. What would make a whole 1? Okay, and earlier we said that the triangles represent sixths. So there we are. Remember that the answer is the green one. So now we have sixths here in the whole. So now that we have sixths, we can say, all right, so my answer is 1/6. Alright, so now I'm going to do 1/3 of 1/2. We're going to have the same answer, but you can go about it a different way. So here's my whole. So we're looking for 1/3 of a half. So I'm going to grab a half here. There's my 1/2. Okay, so now I'm looking for 1/3 of the half. So let me figure out which of these shapes makes up 3 of the half. And of course, it's going to be the triangles. So I'm looking for 1/3 of the half. So again, I'm going to put that one in green. And I'm going to fill in the other 2. So now, I have filled in 1/3 of my half. Okay? So now that I've filled in 1/3 of the half, I need to figure out what my denominator is again. And from what we just did before, we know that it is sixths. So again, my answer is 1/6. So it doesn't matter if you read it as 1/2 of 3 or 1/3 of 1/2. Your answer should be the same. Okay, so that is one way you can use these manipulatives as a way to figure it out. Another way, let me show another problem with this real quick. We can do 2/3 times, we'll do a half again. Okay, so for this one, we're going to start off with a half of my whole. We're looking for 2/3 of it. So again, we're splitting it into thirds. So 2/3 of it can actually be this shape, this. But if we do it this way, what is going to be our denominator? Alright, so if we do it this way, we can see that our answer should be 1/3. But what if we decided to use triangles? Would it still work out? I'm going to go ahead and use these triangles. So here is 2/3 of my half. So if I used triangles, we've already talked about it, my denominator would be in sixths, correct? But we know 2/6, can y'all see that? That's kind of light. Let me switch colors. 2/6 can be reduced down to, guess what? Oops, not 3, 2. To 1/3, which is exactly what we got here. So these are pretty cool ways, these little shapes are a pretty cool way to figure out multiplication of fractions. And while it's not really going to work with things like 14/15ths or something like that, it is a good way to come up with the concept of how it works. Okay, so another way, another invented strategy for fractions. I think I showed it in my standard algorithm video, but this is another way to figure out fractions. So I'm going to do 1/3 times 1/2 again. So I'm going to go ahead and draw out a rectangle. And now I'm going to split it into thirds. 1, 2, 3. So there are my thirds. Okay, and it's saying 1/3. So I'm going to go ahead and color in 1/3 of it. Alright, there's my 1/3. Now we're multiplying it by 1/2. So it's 1/2 of 1/3. So I'm going to go ahead and separate this into half. Now that I've done that, I need to color in one piece of it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. 1/2 of the third. So now I'm going to look at it and I'm going to see where these cross, where the colors cross. So only one piece is colored in with both colors. So I know that my numerator is going to be 1. What's my denominator? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 pieces make up the whole, but only one of them is colored in with both colors. So why does this work? This works because you are again saying 1/2 of 1/3, and that's what we did. We found 1/3 and then we found what a half of it would be. Okay, we can do one more. And then I think my video will be too large to upload to YouTube in an acceptable amount of time. Okay, 2/3 times 1/2. Well, we can do a bigger one than that. Let's do 4/5 times, I don't know, 7/8. So I'm going to go ahead and draw my box. And I'm going to separate it into 4/5. Or fifths, I'm sorry. So I'm going to do the fifth this way, just because it makes more sense. 2, 3, 4, 5. So there are my 5 pieces. Now I know I need to color in 4 of them. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Alright, so there's my 4/5. So now I'm going to separate it into 8ths. So here's my half. 2, 3, 4. Alright, I know these are not even, but I tried. Okay, so now I need to color in 7 of them. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I guess I didn't truly draw 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Dang it. Okay, there we go. 7. Alright, and these are colored in. Alright, so now I'm going to look at where they cross, or where both colors are colored in. So I used orange and red, which was not a smart decision because now we can't see it too well. But this piece right here is where the colors combine. So I'm going to count how many. So this is 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I have a 4 by 7, so I know that's 28. And what is this? We're going to have an 8 by a 5, so I know that's 40. So now I have 28 by 40. So I know that I can simplify that down. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll do it the long way, just to show it. 28 over 40, you divide that by 2, and you get 14 over 20. Divided by 2 again, you get 7 over 10. So my answer, because you always have to simplify your answer, is going to be 7 over 10.